Okay. The coronavirus, unfortunately, infectious diseases. Right, so basically, just look up information that may help. And I'm going to try and get this link up. High reference infectious diseases. The viruses that's going on, unfortunately, and how that may affect disabled people. The good sound documentation on mainstream media, it links very confusing information for disabled people. ID 2020 changes in UK. So, right, this is what I'm getting this up again. What is ID 2020? It's Internet of Things. Digital Identity Alliance. Partners launch program Biometrics. This is going back to 2019. Everything you can think of what all this is. The real danger is dated 12th of March 2020. It's an electronic ID program that uses generalized vaccination as the platform for identity. Global research. I'm just trying to get the information up. Right, an alliance of public and private companies, including UN agencies, civil society. It's an electronic ID program that uses generalized vaccination as a platform for digital identity. So basically, the real dangers of the agenda claiming, as I've got the link, I don't know how to put it in the chat. Right, I'm just having to skip through the bits that affect disabled people. It seems that it's written, it seems the more there is written about the causes of this COVID-19 virus, the more the written analysts are overshadowed by propaganda, fear-mongering hype, questions of the truth, and arguments for where to look for the origins, and how the virus may have spread, and how to combat it are lost in the noise of wanton chaos. But isn't that the black men behind the intended epidemic? want chaos and panic and hopelessness, leading to human vulnerability, people becoming easy prey for manipulation. Today Hughes declared, and this is the article back in March, a epidemic where there is not the slightest trace of that. It might be a condition where, unfortunately, the death to infection rate reaches more than 12%. In Europe, the death rate is about 4% or less. Except for Italy, which is a special case, where the peak of the death rate is 6%. There's a table linking this, and if I could try and find the link to this. China, where the death rate peaked only a few weeks ago at 3%, is back to 7% and declining, where China is taking full control of the disease, and that with the help of a non-spoken about medication developed 39 years ago by Cuba called, I have to type this in, I can't pronounce these words, just research if anyone wants to know. And I have to look this up later too myself. I hope everyone's doing the best they can, because the Corona B19 bill, statute law, it's for 2 years, and there's really conflicting. UK Column website has a really good, I was watching it just now. It's important to go back on the recent 2 or 3 live shows that they got on YouTube or the website for England or Great Britain. If you're also a carer looking after a disabled individual, because it breaks down some crucial bits about disability rights, human rights. You read and listen to mainstream media, it's a lot of not giving you all the information and breaking it down in simple facts. And what I'm trying to look at is that, just basic, straightforward facts. So it's confusing as well for people that may need extra help, volunteer help now. And how is your data, or anyone's data, in one similar situation to me, it's going to be protected? And these people may mean well to help out, but how do you know the identification? What about your medication delivery? Well, they haven't done that yesterday for me. You know, the normal way, I receive it, and there's no email, there's no phone call, nothing, no text. So I'm reading on different social media for people like me. Well, there's going to be, what is this community link up and all this? So I had to research best I could and find, literally dig and find what I can. And it's still linking confusing, and I did come up with the information, but it's still limited how they're going to protect people's information. Now, this code I'm putting in the chat now is called a medication very effective for fighting viruses, other diseases, but it's not known and used in the world because the USA, under the legal embargo of Cuba, does not allow medication to be marketed internationally. World Health Organization, has most likely received orders from above from those who also manage Trump leaders, SIC, in brackets, of the European Union, her member countries, those aim to control the world with force. And I don't know why they're quoting the One World Order. This has been on the drawing board for years. The final decision to go ahead now was taken in January 2020 at the World Economic Forum in Davos, behind very closed doors of the course of the Gates GAVI Association of Vaccination Promoting Pharmaceuticals and Rothschilds at AI, they all behind this decision to implement Agenda ID 2020 CUA. So I'm going to try and get the link up for you to research. After this epidemic has been officially declared, the next step may be, and also recommend either by who or individual countries forced vaccination under police or military surveillance. Those who refuse may be penalised, fined or jailed, and forced vaccination all the same. Indeed, forced vaccination will happen. Another bonanza for Big Pharma. People really don't know what type of cocktail will be in the vaccine and may be a slow killer that acts up only in a few years, or a disease that hits only the next generation of a brain debilitating agent or gene that renders women infertile. All is possible. Control population reduction. In a few years' time, one doesn't know, of course, where the disease comes from. That's the level of technology over bio-war labs have reached. The UK, USA, Israel, Canada, Australia. Another hub list is, I can't pronounce words, at this point only a hypothetic, I can't pronounce the word, I'll spell it HYPOTHESIS, comma. But a realistic one is that along with vaccination, if not with a loved one, then possibly with a later one, a nano chip may be injected unknown to the individual being vaccinated. The chip may be remotely charged with all your personal data, including bank, digital money. Yes, digital money. That's what they are aiming at. So you really have no control anymore of your health and other intimate data. They already breached my data in 2018 anyway. Certain health individuals in the UK, and I've got no remedy. Your money could be blocked, and that includes your received disability income, housing for the rent, your rent reduction, whatever you might be running on for your disabilities now, your loved ones and family as well. Your money could be blocked or taken away or sanctioned for misbehaviour or swimming against the stream. You may become a mere slave of the masters. Comparatively, federalism may appear like a walk in the park. It is not for nothing that Dr. Debardas, DG of WHO, said a few years ago we must move forward digital money because physical paper, coin money can spread diseases like the coronavirus. A pursuer, PRECURSOR, for things to come, or for things already here. In many Scandinavian countries, cash is literally banned. Even a bar of chocolate can be paid only electronically. We are moving towards dictatorial state of the world, and this is part of the agenda ID 2020. These steps to be implemented now, prepared since long ago, including by the coronavirus computer simulation at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, in America, on the 18th of October 2019, sponsored by the WEA and the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill Gates, one of the chief advocates of vaccinations for everyone, especially in Africa, is also a huge advocate of population reduction. In amongst goals of the elite with the WEF, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, these are the banking families of the world. I found the document yesterday. JP Morgan and Morgans, a few more, and the objective, fewer people, a small elite, can live longer and better with the reduced limited resources of Mother Earth offering. This has been propagated already in the 1960s and 70s by Henry Kissinger, Foreign Secretary in the Nixon administration, then co-engineered of the Vietnam War and the main responsible for the semi-bombing of Cambodia, a genocide of millions of unnamed Cambodian civilians. Among with the CIA, Kissinger engineered the coup on 9/11/1973 in Chile, killing the democratically elected, I pronounce as Salvador LDA, I think it's a male, and promoting in the military dictator, and they pronounce his name here, in a power. I'm going to try and find the link for you and type it to read and find what this website is. Okay, and then so if you want to read more, it's not me saying this in the sense of the information source. It's called Global Research. And how does it affect England? How does it affect people in Great Britain? Well, if you look at what's going on globally and we'll link it back to Great Britain, you might just see the links and find out and be prepared for the changes. And I hope to goodness people out there, you're okay. You're trying to get by as best you can with the cutbacks and everything right now going on. Don't be scared about all this, as he says and done. Just be safe, prepared. Why are they bringing military on the streets? You know, don't be afraid of that. Just be safe and be prepared, and I hope you got your food, your water. And if you don't know about off-grid living, or the basic things to get by. And if you're required to get into an environment that is not of your liking, it might push the agenda for your safety. Just double check where it is, who's running it, if you can do that before it happens. Just get spiritually prepared. I'm just trying to put the word in the chat. Get the right spelling. Global Research, RES. Global Research dot .ca /. Okay, and this is what it's called. Chrome. I have to get the spelling right. And it's up to you what you want to think. I'm just putting the link in. Right. And I just hopefully that works. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So your money could be blocked or taken away, as I said. We are moving towards, as I said, and the link is there, Agenda ID 20. And I just said what it is. Its electronic program uses generalized vaccination as a platform for digital identity. Harmless existing birth registration and vaccinations operations provide newborns with a portable and persistent biometric linked digital identity. GAVI, the Global Alliance for Vaccinations, identifies the website as a global health partnership, public and private sector dedicated for enemy vaccinations for all, supported by the WHO, needed to say, sponsored by the pharmaceutical industry. There was a summit raising the Good Idea Challenge in September 2019 in New York, decided to roll out their program in 2020. A decision confirmed by WEF in January 2020 endorses their digital identity program will be tested with the government of Bangladesh and the Vaccine Alliance partners on the humanitarian relief, as they called it. It's just a coincidence that the ID 2020 is being rolled out at the outset of what the WHO calls a epidemic of this virus. Or is it? Indeed, to roll out the multiple devastating programs of ID 2020, and there's this author on the website you can read, policy advisor of the Bangladesh government. We are implementing a forward approach to digital identity. It doesn't give the control over to individuals. You're controlled by this. You don't own your own personal information. They own everything. The computer, the companies behind it, board of directors, etc., etc. There's a quotation from him on it. Back to this epidemic and the panic. Geneva, the European seat of the United Nations, including the headquarters of WHO, is basically shut down, not unlike the lockdown that started in Venice and it expanded to Italy, northern Italy. And until a few days ago, now lockdown covers all Italy, was all over now the world. Covers and similar lockdown soon to be adopted in France, European, and yeah. So we know this article might be a little bit old. Numerous similar panic-mongering contents from different UN agencies, Geneva, are circulating. The key message is cancel all, as we now know, travel, all events in Geneva, other nations, monuments, museums, church services, cathedrals, shops. Well, we know all that was happening in England. Instruct their staff to work from home and not to risk contamination from public transport to and the ambience of panic and fear outstrips any sense of reality where the truth doesn't matter. People can't even think anymore about the causes and what may be behind it. Nobody believes you anymore when you refer to event 2001, the coronavirus simulation, the Wuhan military games, closing the last of August, and it says August the 7th. I'm not sure what that means. Of the high security biological war lab of Fort Detrick, Maryland, where could have at one point been an eye-opener for many today. And shirkers today claim to be, I don't know what they mean by this section, but I'll skip that. The power of the propaganda, destabilizing power, destabilizing countries, people, economically, creating hardship for people who may lose their jobs as well, usually the ones who can least afford it. That's in the news, isn't it, as well? Also, at this time, it becomes increasingly important to remind people the outbreak in China is targeting the Chinese. I don't know what they mean by that. Did it later minute to transgress the borders of Chinese DNA? When did that happen, if it happened? Because at the beginning it was clear even the affected victims in parts of the world were to 99% of Chinese origin related. What happened later when the virus spread to Italy, Iran? Another issue, and opens the way to a number of speculations. There were various strains of the virus circulated in sequence, so as to destabilize countries around the world and confound the populace and media so that especially nobody of mainstream may come to the conclusion that the first strain was targeting China in a bio-war in Iran. This is the authors on the website saying it's not me. I have a strong suspicion that the virus was an enhanced form of Middle East respiratory syndrome, man-made, broke out first in Saudi Arabia in 2012. Dictated to be Arabic mono, which was somehow introduced into government circles by astral spraying, with the goal of regime change by COVID-19 caused by death. Is Washington wishful thinking for at least the last 30 years? So is that weather engineering? Spraying in the skies for these years? Other links for you to look at if you want to know more. In Italy, why Italy? Maybe Washington, Brussels wanted to hit Italy hard, having been officially the first country to sign a Belt and Road Accord with China. Actually, the first was Greece, but nobody is supposed to know that China came to the rescue of Greece. Destroyed by Greece's brothers, the EU members, mainly Germany and France. The hype about the high death to infection rate in Italy at the same time of this writing, 10,000 something infections via versus 631 deaths. Death rate 6.2. Iran 8,042 infections versus 291 deaths, 3.6 death rate percentage. The death rate in Italy is almost double that of Iran and almost tenfold that of average Europe. Are these discrepancies in results or failures in establishing reliable data and pretending to infections to see observations obtained in Italy below? There's a lot of links in the website for you to look at if you care to know on the website. Why and what is Italy being infected with the virus for death and panic? Was there much stronger strain introduced to Italy. The common flu in Europe in 2019 and 2020 season has apparently so far killed about 16,000 in US. The death toll, according to CDC, between 14,000 and 32, depending on which CDC website you look at. Could it be that among the Italian coronavirus deaths there were also common flu victims, as the affected victims are mostly elderly with respiratory preconditions? Also, symptoms are very similar between coronavirus and the common flu, and nobody questions and checks the official authorities' narrative. Maybe not all the coronavirus strains come from the same laboratory. A journalist from Berlin and Ukraine of origin, and this is who they told the author on this website this morning, that Ukraine is host to some 5 high security US bio war labs. They test regularly new viruses on population, yet when strange diseases break out in surroundings of the labs, nobody's dare to talk about it. Something similar, she says, is happening in Georgia, where there are even more Pentagon and CIA biolabs, and where also new strange diseases break out. All of this makes composite picture, I think that word is, even more complicated. Outreaching all of this super hype is profit driven. The quest for instant profit, instant benefits from the suffering of the people. The panic making is the 100-fold of what it's worth. What these kingpins of underworld, who pretend to run the underworld, perhaps miscalculated, is that in today's globalist fast outsourced world, the West depends massively on China's supply chain for customer goods and merchandises, and foremost for medications, medical equipment, and at least 80% of medications or ingredients for medication, as well for medical equipment, comes from China. I didn't know that one. The Western China dependence for antibiotics is even higher, 90%. The potential impacts on health are devastating. During this height of COVID-19 epidemic, China production for everything was almost shut down. For deliveries that were still made, merchandise vessels were regularly and categorically turned back from many harbours all around the world. So the West has tricked itself into shortages of everything made by waging a de facto economic war on China. How long will it last? Nobody knows. But China's economy was down by about half and rapidly recovered to about 80% of what it was before the coronavirus hit. How long will it last to catch up with the backlog? What is behind it all? A total crackdown with artificially introduced panic to the point where people are screaming, "Help us!" Vaccinations, display, police and the military for our security. or even a day in all the public despair doesn't go that far. It would be easy for the EU, USA authorities to impose a military stage of siege for health protection of the people. In fact, the CDC's Centre for Disease Control in Atlanta has already designed harshly dictatorial directives for health emergency. Along with forced vaccinations, and who knows what would contain in the cocktail of the many diseases injected, and what the long-term effects might be. They are those of GMOs, where all sorts of germs could be inserted without us, the common people, knowing. We may indeed be just at the beginning of this implementation of ID 2020, which includes forced vaccinations, population reduction, total digital control of everybody on the way. And they call this one world order, global financial hegemony, full spectrum dominance, as the PNAC, plan for the new American century, likes to call it. A windfall for China? China has been supposedly targeted for economic destruction because of a rapidly advancing economy. A economy soon to overtake that of USA of A, and because of China's strong currency, the yen, and also potentially taking over the dollar as the world's main currency, reserve currency. Both currencies would mean the end of US dominance over the world. The coronavirus disease now is more than 80 countries, has crashed the stock markets, a decline at least 20% of the last few weeks, and rising. The feared consequences from the virus of economic financial slowdown, if not recession, has slashed petrol prices within 2 weeks, almost half. However, without China's central bank influence, the yen's value versus the dollar has been rather stable at around 7 yen to the dollar. And that means the Chinese economy, despite COVID-19, is receiving still much trust around the globe. Advice to China: buy all of the US and European corporate shares you can at the current rock bottom prices from the stock markets that collapse by a fifth or more. Buy lots of oil futures when the prices recover, and you have not only made billions, probably trillions from the West, but you also may own a whole significant and influence yielding amounts of shares in most of the largest USA, European corporations that will be able to help call the shots of that future endeavours. There is, however, one little silver lining escalating at the horizon of the dark clouds. It could be an awakening of consciousness, of a critical mass that could put an end to it all. Although we seem to be far from such a miracle. Somewhere in a hidden corner of our brain, we all have a spark of consciousness left. We have this spiritual capability to abandon the disaster plan of the Western neoliberal capitalism and instead embrace solidarity, compassion and love for each other and our society. That may be the only way to break the gridlock and doom of Western greed. A note to editors states, please share the buttons below, forward this link in article and emails, cross-post on your blogs. And this is Peter, Coenig, is a communist and a global political analyst. He also a water resources environmental specialist, and he's worked for over 30 years with the World Bank and World Health Organizations, including Palestine in the fields of environment and water. He lectures in universities, USA, Europe, South Africa, America, and he writes regularly for the Global Research, Press TV, 21st Century. There's many other links in the link I'll put in the chat for you to go and have a look. I got a link to this the other day, this website. That's why I'm sharing this. Again, take it in your stride, one thing at a time. Just be aware it's all to do as well with the identity for internet, much more. If you don't know or can't comprehend what this is about, and you want to believe the mainstream media of things, well, it's up to you, because there is a lot of this deadline to get real ID pushed back, and right, here we go. NHS warned to hide ID after separate or targeted muggings. I mean, please don't believe in the hype. You've got hashtag and Twitter. He's working on a secret plan to governments around the world to microchip every human being. And this is what is, this is also a Twitter. You can find links to this and others. Such information. And you've got, now this is news. Well, where do you put it? It's Bill Gates, and the history of this, if you want to investigate. They claim to help the vulnerable. Yeah, really? Now people are finally waking up to the fact that is in fact a pandemic. I can't speak now. And one of the major objectives to bring in implementation Bill Gates digital microchip and implants, and that's linked to ID 2020. And I've also got the link I found, the COVID-19 assessment infectious and the reality. You see. The world, there is the link of, in England, UK government's link, and saying they downgraded the infection related to this COVID-19, and that was, I found the document already, and I think people need to do their research if you want to know more. In America, they call this FEMA camps as well. Open up to receive your ID or be sent to the FEMA camp. And part of the agenda is the mark of the beast, so don't take it. But you see, you won't be able to shop, food, buy, or survive without it. It's got the bio, something, date.com. Yeah, it's all out there. Twitter as well. 1 billion people live without official recognised identity, and we are a global alliance committed to resolving the program. It's all computerised based. Microchip implant. It will provide people with a portable of, and it explains what that is. So, if you're not bothered, it's up to you. This was him, the whole thing. ID20, he steps down CEO to have more time to cook and track everyone. It's pure evil. There's a lot of people out there getting this information out. I'm a firm believer this is end time fulfillment, and if you're a spiritual believer, people are saying, if it is the mark, the believer will never know. It is possible for them to force everyone to have the RID chip without it being the mark. The word of God says one must bow down and worship the beast. Don't you? These are Twitter posts. Don't be confused. The virus has nothing to do with and it goes into other subjects. I won't repeat that tweet, which is happening in conjunction, right? Yeah, so biometric digital identities, and as soon as they're born, they should tone back from this if they want to get it into the general populace. I mean, there's a website I didn't know about. Let's see what it says. If you really want, yeah, here we go. So I found the website. So I'm just going to put it in the chat, and it's up to you if you want to think it's a good thing or whatever. It's up to you to know. And it's ID 2020.org. Just be aware what is being required. ID 2020 Alliance setting the course, a digital ID, and already went through that. So who's behind this? There is a Peggy, there's Microsoft Corporation. Articles about blockchain, finally give US a digital privacy. Right, I'm just looking at where it's Systems Inc. For 2020 Identity, 2020 Systems Inc. At the bottom of the website is a company, and the terms of the policies at the end of it, you might find where the offices are based. Oh look, here you go. The principal office is in New York City, in America. And internal say financial information relating to the company is actually based at New York State Attorney General Charges Bureau, New York City. And the website is linked to that too. I'm just going to share this. But when the Internet of Things are controlling what you can share and what you can't share, it's important to just know the information and then just put perhaps a piece of paper or something in your diary. No, just be aware of your information you can't share. So for now, I shall end the stream and see what mainstream media is portraying. Okay, that's all I have to say for now.